Good morning, my beautiful soul followers. Hope everyone's having an amazing day. Would love to hear about it. Down in the comments section, let me know how you're doing. If you're having an amazing week, loving this as we move into fall and the fall weather. I know I am loving the fall weather. I'm over summer weather in Texas. So anyway, so this morning I was actually reading something and then I saw a similar TikTok actually on it, and I found it an interesting concept, an interesting topic for really the day, because as a general community and society right now, I am seeing a lack of ability to hold space and have understanding for other people, to really have our truth and let somebody else have their truth. And to really reach out. I'm seeing this more and more because we are kind of living in a traumatized society right now. Everybody is kind of in this trauma mode. So I was thinking about relationships and really how that impacts our relationships. And I'm seeing a lot more conflict in both my singles clients who are dealing with relationships and really stepping into the dating field, but also with people who are married and in relationship, and even just like friends and family. And one of the things I think we need to know, and here's the topic for today, is the things we need to know about the other people in our lives that really, and ourselves, that will really help us have healthier relationships. And one of the ways that we can have a healthier relationship is to be able to have conflict in a healthier way, and to have our joy and our happiness and those vulnerability feelings also in a healthier way. Because as much as we struggle with conflict, we struggle with the light aspect of that too. A lot of people struggle with the joy and the passion and the excitement just as much as they struggle with the conflict element. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you today is really about how, when we get into any relationship, but particularly our intimate romantic relationships, how we really do need to learn about their childhood. And I am not a coach that wants to sit and psychoanalyze your childhood. And I do believe that we need to, at some point in our lives, move past some of those foundational pieces we learn, and some of that trauma and some of that learning. And we all are doing that, okay? What most people don't understand is just because you turn 18, just because you're 20, 30, 40, 50, doesn't mean that you're completely healed of every foundational piece that you learned. All the trauma, all the intricacies of your past. And again, I'm not a coach that wants to sit and like hone in and that's all we work on, because there is like, okay, like we're big girls and boys now, like let's grow the fuck up. But something to heal a relationship and to have better understanding and better communication and conflict is to understand how emotions were dealt with in that other person's family of origin. And not just how emotions were dealt with, but how that person dealt with that reaction. So for example, if somebody had a family with a lot of anger in it, there's a couple different reactions that person could have developed. Avoidance. They could get really angry and just fight with it too. Or they can get into this space of hiding and retracting. It really does depend on the person's personality. And it is important to know these things in our relationships, because a lot of times our partner and the people we are in relationship with, the way that they react is oftentimes based on those early childhood learnings. And so to understand how somebody grew up, how emotions were really dealt with, and I'm not just talking about what we like to label our negative emotions. I'm talking about emotions in general. And then how that person dealt with that says a whole lot about a relationship and what can be expected and where you might trip in relationships. For example, I'll throw myself under the bus. Because of some of my early experiences when I'm working with, if I'm in a relationship with a partner and they start raising their voice and pulling this energy up of like, of yelling and screaming, I will retract. I retract from that energy. And that is a wound of mine. And yes, I can move through it. And yes, I'm healing it. But some of our memories, some of our energy is actually at a biological level. And so it's not always just our thought process. Sometimes our bodies have a reaction. And I'm actually doing a beautiful workshop in January to help people to remove some of that bioenergetic energy to really release that trauma in the body. We're not talking about that right now, but if you want to know more about that, then head over to my website. You can check out that workshop. But some of it is from a biological standpoint. We have actually put it into our very being. And so to know how that other person's family of origin growing up went is very important to understand our partner's reactions. And so, for example, if my partners know that if they start screaming at me, I am most likely going to check out of what they're really saying. I'm going to check out of the presence level in that relationship because of my own shiz. Because guess what? We all have shit. And while I can at times hold there, and while at times I can sit and go, okay, no, this is just a conflictual moment. The fact is, when my partners know that, they know, okay, I see Addison's starting to retract because of her shit. And guess what? The same thing goes for ourselves. We need to know what our reaction was and what our reaction tends to be. But like I said earlier, this is not just about the negative emotions. So there are oftentimes patterns in families and growing up of even our joy. So if you're not able to, as a young child, if you were not able to really be joyful and excited and happy and play, guess what? When somebody around you as an adult is happy and joyful and play, you're going to have a reaction. You're going to have a reaction. Now, this is not saying that we need to just stop our own work and stop owning where our reactions are. It's to understand other people in our lives. And again, this is not to go, okay, well, they're toxic, so they're toxic. Like that just is how it is. It's not excusing, but it is knowing. It is connecting. It is talking about it, moving through it. Because the best relationships can have these moments of conflict and learning and seeing the triggers and going, okay, how do we work through this? How do we move past it? Let's focus on the solution. Let's focus on holding space for another person and going and allowing that other person to go, when you do X, Y, Z, it triggers me in this way, and that's not your fault, but this is my trigger. And a lot of times I see couples be like, yeah, but you know that's your trigger, so just get the fuck over it. And guess what? That is easy to say, and that is such a cold-hearted way to deal with another human being. We all have our shit, and so there is this level of dealing with each other's shit and having compassion and being like, yes, I see that, and working it through it with somebody. But although we don't want to focus in on just like hone in always on somebody's childhood and their past, guess what? We're grown-ups. We have to process. We have to do our work. We do need to know those foundational elements. We don't know how things were dealt with. And the reaction of that person. Because, like, for example, I can look at my brothers and sisters and they could have had the exact same experience, and their reaction based on their personality was much different than mine. And so it is to talk about, even if you don't want to talk about childhood, to sit with your partner, to sit with your intimate partner and go, how do you deal with anger? Like, what happens when anger comes up? What is your response? What is your reaction? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with joy and happiness? How do you deal with, sorrow? Where do you go? Where do you go in your emotions? Where is your safe space in emotions? Because we all have our safe emotions. Some people, their safe emotions is anger. Sometimes their safe emotions is depression. Sometimes safe emotions is blowing things off and pretending like you're happy. We all have our safe emotions. And to have those conversations is vital to healthy relationship. And I know this might not be all sexy, but it is important. It is important. Because if you want that sexy relationship, if you want that orgasmic relationship where you feel your partner and you feel held by your partner and you feel free and able to truly enjoy your relationship, you have to talk about these things too. You have to talk about the emotions. You have to connect in that way. And we have to hold space for each other. So in a world where right now there's a lot of me, and not a lot of reaching out, be that person who's willing to hold space. Be that person who's willing to hold a little bit of space. Take care of yourself, but hold space for other people's emotions, allowing them to have their reality and their reactions, and us to have our reality and our reactions, and meeting somewhere in the middle if it's a healthy relationship. So, all right, my beautiful followers, I am going to let you go if you want help on this, because guess what? Dealing with our own shit, dealing with the shit in relationship, conflict, emotions, isn't always easy. Sometimes we need somebody to guide us and to just help us point out where maybe we're not seeing we're not seeing the whole picture. Then reach out to me at addisonbell.net. I am, for the month of November, doing free consults, so you can jump on that offer, whether it's in person or online. I'm doing that, so head over to addisonbell.net and fill out an application to work with me. Other than that, go have an amazing day. Feel your emotions, be with them. Really allow yourself to explore where your reactions and emotions are taking you. All right, guys. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow for another Addison Unleashed.